If you'd told me 13 years into my marriage that I'd be sitting alone in the dark Googling another man's name, I'd have laughed you out of the room. Nicole and I were solid, or so I thought. Turns out solid and secretly falling apart can look identical from the inside. Looking back now, there were signs. Small things. The kind you wave off because you trust the person sleeping next to you. A changed password here. A late evening there. A laugh that came from somewhere you weren't invited. Little cracks in the wall that I told myself were just the house settling. Houses don't settle. People do. And then came the Tuesday that cracked it down the middle. Nicole came home around 7. I was in the kitchen finishing up some contracts, half watching the Rangers game on the mounted TV. My coffee on the counter next to me, she walked in with this energy. I noticed it immediately. Lighter than usual. Almost. Relieved. Something's different. "Hey," I said, without looking up. "There's leftover brisket in the—" "Daniel." She cut me off. "Can we talk?" I looked up then. She was still in her jacket. Hadn't even set her purse down. Standing in the middle of our kitchen like she was visiting. "Oh. Sure," I said. I closed the laptop. "What's up?" She sat down across from me at the island, folded her hands. "And I want you to notice something." She wasn't crying, no trembling lip. None of the things you'd expect from a woman about to blow up her marriage. She looked almost peaceful. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she started. "Okay. And I think—" She paused. "I think I found something real, Daniel. Something I didn't even know I was missing." I said nothing. I just looked at her. "His name is Ryan." She said it like she was telling me about a new restaurant she'd discovered. Casual. Matter of fact. "His name is Ryan. We met at a retreat in Marble Falls back in February. And I know how this sounds, but—" "February," I repeated. "Daniel, it's June, Nicole." Silence. 4 months. She's been lying to my face for 4 months. "I know the timing is. Who is he?" I asked. My voice was steady. I don't know how. Everything in my chest was moving, but my voice just stayed flat. "He's a wellness coach. He does retreats, mindfulness work. He's just—" She smiled. Actually smiled. "He's genuine, Daniel. Like genuinely genuine. He doesn't care about money or things or status. He's not caught up in all of—" She gestured vaguely at the kitchen, the house, the life I built, all of this. She gestured at all of this. "He sounds amazing," I said. She blinked. "I know you're being sarcastic. I'm really not." I took a sip of my coffee. "I'm sitting here genuinely moved by a wellness coach named Ryan from Marble Falls, who doesn't care about money. Daniel, does Ryan have a last name?" "Harper. Ryan Harper. Wellness coach. Marble Falls retreat. I filed that away like a receipt. And you're telling me this because I want to be honest with you." She leaned forward. "I don't want to sneak around. That's not who I am. I think we've grown apart. And I think deep down you know that too, and I think—" "Nicole," I held up one hand. "I appreciate the honesty. I do." She exhaled, like she'd been holding her breath, like it had gone better than she expected. "Oh, sweetheart, we haven't even started." "So what happens now?" she asked quietly. "Now." I stood up, picked up my coffee, and smiled at her. A real smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. "Now I'm gonna go watch the rest of this game." She stared at me. "That's it. That's it. You're not angry. Good night, Nicole. Welcome to Dad's Raw Revenge. Get settled, because this one is going to take you somewhere. Hit that like button and drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from. Trust me, you're going to love it here." I went upstairs, sat on the edge of the bed in the dark, didn't turn on the light. 13 years. 13 years, and she sat in my kitchen in my house and told me about Ryan Harper like she was recommending a podcast. Genuine. He's genuine. I almost laughed. Almost. I picked up my phone. Not to call anyone. To think. I opened our joint banking app and started scrolling back. February. She said February. And there it was. Marble Falls Resort and Spa, February 14th. Valentine's Day. I had sent her flowers to the boutique that day. She'd texted me a heart emoji. A heart emoji. I kept scrolling. Hotel charges I'd half noticed and dismissed. Dinners at Uchi on Lamar, our restaurant, the one we went to for anniversaries, with someone else. A jewelry purchase at a boutique on South Congress. Wasn't from me. 4 months of receipts. 4 months of evidence. Sitting right there, she financed the affair with my credit line. I put the phone down. Picked it up again. Opened my contacts. Scrolled to a name. Andrew Briggs, my attorney. 15 years. The man who structured every deal Reynolds Capital ever closed. It was 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I texted him anyway. Andrew, need you first thing tomorrow. Not a business matter. Bring the full picture. His response came in 4 minutes. 8 a.m., my office. That's why I pay him what I pay him. I set the phone face down on the nightstand, lay back on the bed, still in my clothes, still had my watch on, and stared at the ceiling of the bedroom I'd renovated 2 years ago, because Nicole said she wanted vaulted ceilings. Vaulted ceilings. I gave this woman vaulted ceilings. Ryan Harper doesn't care about money. Good, I thought, because he's about to need a lot of it. I closed my eyes, not to sleep, to plan. Because here's the thing about a man who builds companies. When one investment goes bad, you don't grieve it. You liquidate it. And you build something better. They say the best revenge is living well. They're wrong. The best revenge is making sure they can't. I showed up to Andrew Briggs's office on West 5th at 7:58 in the morning. 2 minutes early. I'm always 2 minutes early. It's a habit that's made me more money than any deal I've ever closed. Andrew was already at his desk, jacket off, sleeves rolled, reading glasses on, 2 coffees on the table like he'd known exactly how this morning was going to feel. Andrew Briggs is 61 years old, ex-corporate litigator, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, the kind of man who speaks slowly because he knows every word costs someone something. He's been my attorney since Reynolds Capital was just a dream in a folding table. He looked up when I walked in. "You look terrible," he said. "Good morning to you too, Andrew. Sit down." He slid a coffee across the desk. "Talk." I sat, wrapped both hands around the cup, and for the next 20 minutes I laid out everything. February. Ryan Harper. The retreat in Marble Falls. The receipts in the joint account. The jewelry. The dinners at Uchi. The 4 months of carefully maintained deception while I grilled on Sundays and coached youth football, and kissed my wife goodbye every morning like a man who had no idea. Andrew listened without interrupting. When I finished, he took his glasses off, cleaned them slowly, put them back on. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Like a company that just discovered its CFO has been embezzling," I said. "So let's talk about restructuring." The corner of his mouth moved, almost a smile. "All right, walk me through your assets. Here's what most people don't know about loving someone for 13 years. You stop seeing the architecture of it, the structure underneath. You just live in the house and assume the walls are solid." Nicole never looked at the walls. Maison Nicole, her boutique, her baby, the thing she posted about on Instagram with the caption "Built this from scratch," was leased under Reynolds Capital LLC. Every invoice, every inventory order, every staff payroll. Mine. She had creative control. I had legal ownership. The white Range Rover she drives was leased under my company fleet account. Her father, Dale, good man, bad heart, had been on a private health coverage plan I'd set up 3 years ago when his insurance lapsed, fully funded by me, quietly, because that's what you do when you love someone's family. The Terrytown house was purchased in my name. Nicole was on the deed as a co-owner, standard marital edition. But here's the thing about Texas law, and a good attorney. There's standard, and then there's strategic. Andrew and I sat in that office for 2.5 hours. By the time I walked out onto West 5th, with the Austin morning heat already climbing, the blueprint was drawn. Not aggressive, not emotional. Precise. The way you'd shut down a failing division without letting it take the whole company with it. Scalpel, not sledgehammer. I went to the office, sat through 2 calls, answered emails, acted like a man whose life was completely normal. I'm telling you, the performance I gave that week deserved an award. Nicole texted me at noon. "Hey, you okay? Last night felt weird." Weird. She blew up 13 years of marriage and described the aftermath as weird. I typed back. "Totally fine. Busy day. See you tonight." She sent a thumbs up emoji. A thumbs up. 4 hours later, Andrew's office executed the first move. The joint credit lines, 3 of them totaling around $60,000 in available credit that Nicole used for the boutique, personal shopping, and whatever else, were flagged for review and frozen pending account restructuring. Nicole called me at 4:17. "Daniel, my card just got declined at Whole Foods." I said. I was looking at my monitor. "That's strange. Can you call the bank? I'll look into it when I get home." "It's embarrassing, Daniel. I had a full cart." "I'll look into it," I said again. Calm. Easy. "See you tonight." I hung up. Strike 1. The following Monday, I had a brief professional conversation with the leasing company that handled the West 6th Street space for Maison Nicole. Reynolds Capital would not be renewing the commercial lease. Standard business decision. 60-day notice as per contract. That same afternoon, the boutique's business account, linked to my LLC, was restructured, Tuesday. The fleet management company was notified that one vehicle from the Reynolds Capital account would be returned at the end of the month. A pickup arrangement would be coordinated directly, Wednesday. I called Dale's insurance provider. I asked them to process a coverage plan transfer. I would no longer be the sponsoring account holder. If Dale wanted to maintain the plan, he was welcome to convert it to a personal account. I didn't cancel it. I just stopped paying for it. There's a difference, a moral one. I want to be clear about that. I'm not a monster. I'm a businessman who stopped subsidizing a woman who used my generosity as a backdrop for betrayal. Every single move. Legal. Clean. Documented. Andrew Briggs reviewed each one. Not a single overreach. But here's where the story shifts. Because while I was quietly dismantling the financial infrastructure of Nicole's life, Ryan Harper was busy living his best life, completely unaware that I had made one phone call. 1. It took me 4 days to find her. Her name was Kelly Marsh, Nashville, Tennessee, 39 years old. Yoga instructor, and approximately 14 months ago she had been exactly where Nicole was now, completely convinced that Ryan Harper was the most genuine man she'd ever met. I found her through a private investigator I'd used once before for a business due diligence case, fellow named Mike DeLuca. Quiet guy. Worked out of a small office on North Loop. Didn't ask unnecessary questions. Mike delivered a 2-page summary on Ryan Harper in 72 hours. I read it once, put it down, picked it up, and read it again. Ryan Harper, 43, wellness coach, 3 states, 4 women in 6 years, all of them married, all of them comfortable, all of them funding the lifestyle of a man who didn't care about money. Kelly Marsh was the most recent before Nicole. The relationship had ended when Kelly's savings ran dry and Ryan had quietly moved on. Genuine. The man was genuinely a predator. I called Kelly on a Thursday evening. I was sitting in my truck in the parking garage beneath my office building on West 5th. Engine off, city sounds above me. She picked up on the 3rd ring. "Hello, Kelly," I said. "My name is Daniel Reynolds. I'm calling from Austin, Texas. I think you and I need to have a conversation about a man named Ryan Harper." 4 seconds of silence. "Not again," she said. "Who is it this time?" Not, "What do you mean?" Not, "I don't know who that is." "Who is it this time?" "My wife," I said. She exhaled long and slow. "I'm so sorry. Don't be. I just need you to tell me your story. All of it. And then I need to know, are you willing to tell it again if someone asks?" Another pause. Shorter this time. Kelly Marsh told me everything that night. 61 minutes. I didn't interrupt once. When she was done, I thanked her, got her contact information, told her to expect a call from Andrew Briggs's office to document her account formally. Then I sat in that parking garage for a while. Genuine. I thought about Nicole sitting across from me at that kitchen island, the way she'd smiled when she said his name. Ryan. The way she'd waved her hand at my house, my vaulted ceilings, like they were symptoms of a disease she was recovering from. I thought about the woman who said she wasn't going anywhere. I started the truck, pulled out of the garage onto West 5th, Austin evening traffic. Heat still sitting heavy at 6 p.m. Radio came on automatically, some old country station, because of course it did. I turned it off, drove home to Terrytown, in silence. Nicole was in the kitchen when I got home. She'd cooked pasta, garlic bread, the works, candles on the table. She turned around when I walked in, and her expression was this complicated mixture of guilt and hope that I recognized immediately. She thinks we're reconciling. "Hey," she said carefully, "I thought maybe we could, I don't know, talk properly." I set my keys on the counter. Loosened my tie. "Sure," I said. "Smells good." We sat. We ate. She talked about her day. The boutique. A shipment that was delayed. I nodded in the right places. Asked a question here and there. Poured her wine. The entire dinner I was thinking about Andrew Briggs's calendar. Because the next morning, Andrew was filing the divorce petition with the Travis County District Clerk's office. And Monday, our 13th wedding anniversary, a process server was going to walk into Maison Nicole on West 6th Street at 11 a.m., while Nicole was at work. While she was surrounded by her staff, while she was in the middle of the life she thought was still intact. I almost felt bad. Almost. Daniel, Nicole said, setting her fork down. Is there any part of you that thinks we could work through this? I looked at her across the candlelit table. This woman I had loved for 13 years. This woman who had sat in this same kitchen and told me another man was genuine. I smiled. Nicole, I said quietly, I think you should follow your heart. She reached across and touched my hand. She actually touched my hand. Thank you, she whispered. I nodded, folded my napkin, stood up, and left. Monday's coming, sweetheart. If you have been listening for a while, drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button while you're at it, and be sure you're subscribed. Monday arrived the way I knew it would. Quietly. Austin mornings in late summer have this particular kind of heat, the kind that hits you the moment you step outside. No warning, no build-up, just immediate and total. I was up at 5:30, showered, put on my best charcoal gray suit, the one I wore when Reynolds Capital closed its biggest deal 3 years ago. I didn't wear it for Nicole. I wore it for me. She was still asleep when I left. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom for exactly 4 seconds. Looked at her. Thought about my entire life with this woman. She was somebody's person, just not mine. Not anymore. I closed the door softly and walked out of that Terrytown house for the last time as a married man. Andrew Briggs had the petition filed by 9:15 a.m. By 9:40 I was at my desk on West 5th with a coffee, reviewing a portfolio acquisition that had nothing to do with Nicole Reynolds or Ryan Harper or any of it. Because that's the thing about building a company. It doesn't stop for your heartbreak. The market opens at the same time every morning, regardless of what's burning in your personal life. I had learned to use that. At 11:03 my phone buzzed. Text from Andrew. Served. 1 word. I set the phone face down and went back to my portfolio review. Done. What I heard later, pieced together from staff accounts that made their way back through Austin's surprisingly small social circles, was that the process server walked into Maison Nicole on West 6th at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday that Nicole had probably expected to be completely ordinary. She was with a customer, showing linen blouses. The server asked for Nicole Reynolds by name. She turned around, smiling. Probably thought it was a delivery. It was not a delivery. Her staff said she stood completely still for almost 30 seconds after reading the first page. Didn't move. Didn't speak. The customer quietly set down the blouse and left. Then Nicole called Ryan Harper, and here's where Kelly Marsh entered the story. Because while Nicole was calling Ryan in a panic, Kelly had already spent the previous 72 hours doing exactly what she promised me she would do. She'd contacted 2 of Austin's most active social media accounts, the kind that cover local lifestyle, relationships, community stories. She'd given interviews, documented, named names. Kelly didn't need my help doing it. She had 14 months of receipts, screenshots, and a voice note Ryan had stupidly left on her phone during their last argument where he'd said, "And I want you to appreciate this. I don't need your money anymore anyway." The story broke on a Friday. By Saturday, it had been shared 1,100 times in the Austin metro area alone. Ryan Harper, wellness coach, Marble Falls retreat facilitator, genuine human being, was exposed as a serial predator who had cycled through 4 women in 6 years. Nashville, Denver, Scottsdale, and now Austin. My hands never touched it. Not once. That's what one phone call to the right person does. The next several weeks were not pretty for Nicole Reynolds. Maison Nicole received its official lease non-renewal notice. 60 days to vacate the West 6th Street space. The boutique's business account was restricted pending LLC restructuring. Her staff, 3 women she'd worked with for years, quietly updated their resumes. The Range Rover was picked up on a Wednesday morning. Nicole came outside and watched it get loaded onto a transport vehicle in the driveway of a house that was now formally part of divorce proceedings. I heard she called her best friend Ashley and cried for 2 hours. I heard Ryan Harper stopped returning her calls 4 days after the story broke. Genuine. And then came the one that I hadn't orchestrated. The one the universe handed me for free. Dale, Nicole's father, the man I'd covered quietly for 3 years, called me directly. I almost didn't pick up. But Dale is 71 years old and has a heart condition, and I'm not a man without a conscience. "Daniel," he said. His voice was rough. "I heard what happened with the insurance." "Dale, don't." He cleared his throat. "Don't apologize. I'm calling to tell you I know what my daughter did, and I am ashamed of her. I want you to know that." I didn't say anything for a moment. "How are you feeling?" I asked. Health-wise, I'm all right. My son's helping me get new coverage sorted out. Good. I paused. I'm glad. Daniel, his voice dropped. You were a good husband. Better than she deserved, and I'm sorry. I thanked him. We hung up. I sat at my desk on West 5th for a long time after that call. Some losses cut in ways that have nothing to do with the person who betrayed you. The divorce was finalized months later in Travis County. Texas is a community property state, which means the process requires either agreement or litigation. Nicole hired an attorney. There were negotiations. There were uncomfortable mornings in conference rooms on Congress Avenue, where Nicole sat across from me, looking like a woman who was only now beginning to understand the full geometry of what she'd walked away from. Her attorney pushed for boutique compensation. Andrew Briggs produced the LLC documentation with the kind of quiet confidence of a man who had prepared this particular argument 4 months before Nicole ever thought she needed one. The boutique claim was dismissed. The Terrytown house was sold. Split per Texas statute. Nicole got her portion. It was fair. I'm not interested in poverty. I'm interested in freedom. She walked out of that courthouse on a gray February morning, and I watched her from across the parking lot. She looked smaller somehow, like something had been let out of her. Ryan Harper was not there. Ryan Harper was, at that particular moment, being formally investigated following a civil complaint filed by Kelly Marsh in Davidson County, Tennessee. 2 other women had come forward after Kelly's story broke. A third was pending. Genuine. The last I heard about Ryan Harper, wellness coach, Marble Falls Retreat, genuine human being. He had quietly relocated to Phoenix and was attempting to rebrand under a slightly different business name. People like Ryan always relocate. People like Ryan always rebrand. And people like Ryan always get found. That's not my business anymore, though. My business was doing just fine. You stop standing in burning buildings waiting for someone to appreciate the smoke damage. You walk out. You build somewhere else. You build something better. Nicole Reynolds chose a man who was genuine. Good. And Daniel Reynolds? Daniel Reynolds chose himself. Best decision I ever made. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from. I will see you on the next one.